So the first thing I'm going to say is please don't be intimidated by my kitchen. A lot of people go, oh my God, how do you do that? And how do you know? Doesn't matter, okay? It absolutely doesn't matter. This 14 days is all about you and how I can support you and allowing you to fall in love with yourself and to have this clear vibrational match with nature. So what I do is I take the label off things. So say apple cider vinegar, olive oil, balsamic vinegar, mustard, things like that. I remove the label and I put them into bottles. Now I get my bottles from anywhere. Opportunity shops, from garage sales, from cheap shops, $2 shops, we have them in Australia. I get my bottles from juices that I've bought. You know, it's not where I go to the shop and buy the same bottle. So what this does is, I know that this is apple cider vinegar because it has apple cider vinegar on it. It's very clear for me. So my brain just goes, opens the cupboard, where's the apple cider vinegar? Oh, there it is, because I read it. Now, if you add, this is just a little moment in time. You can do this if you want to, you don't have to, but I recommend you do for your future health insurance because it amplifies your memory and it induces a state of being of what was, and you start to remember things in a really different way, and it creates such abundance in the brain. It's really extraordinary. So, and I first started doing this, I had to smell and taste everything, which I still do actually, which is super cool, but 95% of stuff, actually probably 98% of stuff in here, I know what it is by just staring at it, just because of memory. And the older and wiser we get, we want to be able to enhance our memory. I really believe that all oils and all vinegars and all liquid sweeteners need to be in a very tight glass bottle. And I mean tight lid, okay? And they're there in my pantry. Now my pantry is open, and this is the thing. Why is it open like this? The reason why is because it gives me ease and flow in my body. So I've lived in a tiny little unit with a tiny little kitchen before, and I've taken a screwdriver and I've undid all the cupboards of all the situation in the actual pantry, in the actual kitchen. I've undid every single cupboard and I've allowed it to open up, and I've had this tiny little stove and I had this little space, but everything was around me, and it just helped me use my ingredients. With spices, really important, once again, is to have them in tight, really tight, air secured, I don't even know what you call it, but the lid on tight, titty, tight. And so it's just a little tip. You don't have to do this, but I tell you what, it'll just bring the glory home for you, trust me. Salt and pepper is just here. It's right next to my stove. Now it's in big stone, volcanic stone metal, mortar and pestle. I get that. You don't need to do that. My girlfriend Dana has two little situations next to her stove with salt and pepper in them. And what it does when you're cooking, it creates ease and flow, okay? You might be a plant eater already, or you might be someone that's playing with the idea, or you might be a future plant eater, and this is just gonna provide you with a lot of ease in the body, and it's gonna provide you with that hashtag abundance, joy, love, letting go, you know, whatever the word is in your body when you're cooking, because the seasoning's in your hand. So having your salt and pepper next to you, super important. The next thing that's super important is to make sure that you have your other dry ingredients in jars. So I love this type of jar. It's airtight. Oh my God, the smell of the turmeric's amazing. It's airtight and it holds the product really well, so no oxygen can get in. I love that. I encourage you to start with the ingredients that are in your shopping list and to do that with it. This comes over time. Once you start stepping into, say you buy my other cooking classes, which I have an abundance of cooking classes, right? That takes you through lasagna and risotto and gnocchi, and oh my God, I've got Celebrate Your Sweet Tooth Naturally cooking class, I've got a raw class, I've got a gluten-free at home class, a Whole Foods Love class, and I've got 50 recipes in each one. They're amazing, they're all filmed. This is when we get to this point. And we start to really acknowledge how food and nature and humans are in one boat together, and we start to build our pantry. Having your utensils near you creates ease and flow. So when you get all your food ready for one menu, make sure you've got your tongs there, your spoon there, your spatula there, you know, a bowl there. Make sure it's all ready. A sharp knife is essential. I use Damascus steel, which is a Japanese knife. I just find them to be incredibly sharp and incredibly amazing. And they do need regular sharpening, and thank God my friend Rira, who's behind the camera, sharpened this the other day. If you've got somebody in your life that can sharpen a knife, you're winning. Japanese steel is called Damascus. Have a look for it online. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. Just make sure your knife is sharp. Your knife is sharp, because when you're cutting away, you want the shoulder to be relaxed. You want the body to just be relaxed as you slowly make your way through your cutting skills. Because if it's a blunt knife, and things start to tense up, and that's the seasoning in your hands that goes through the food. So a sharp knife is super important. Chopping board, I have wood. It's loud, it's big, and it's proud. And I'll tell you where I get my wooden chopping boards from. It's from the hardware store. I go in there and I ask for a piece of, show me where the hardwood is, and I get them to measure up what I want, and they cut it. And every 6 months I sand it down with some sandpaper, and that's a good one for the kids. Always, if it's a plastic board, or if it's a glass board, or if it's a wooden board, always have something underneath it. Because if I'm cutting here, this will move. If I'm cutting here under that beautiful sticky little bit of cloth, nothing's going to move. Do you know what I mean? It's really hard to move it. But if I'm sliding away here with a knife, I'm going to cut myself. So that's a really cool tip to have. What else in my kitchen? Equipment, a Vitamix. It's a 5-2000. Yeah, let's get it. Okay. So I have two pieces of equipment here. I have a Vitamix and a Magimix food processor. You don't have to have a Magimix food processor. You need a food processor that comes with an S-blade. It doesn't matter, it's $5, if it's secondhand, it's like 20 years old, it actually doesn't matter. So just be really mindful of that. My first food processor was $5 from an opportunity shop, and I had that for like years and years until I could afford to buy another one. I love this brand. It's a good brand for me. They're quite expensive, but I'm a chef and I need that. But if I'm at my mum's house, she's got this 20-year-old food processor. Look at my face right now. And it works, and I'm just so happy that it does. Vitamix is a high-speed blender. It comes with a wet jug and a tamper, and it's amazing. And I've had my Vitamix for probably since 2009, and we're in 2020 now. That's how long. And the only thing I've ever done is drop my jug and break it. But other than that, the actual machine is still going. I have about 3 or 4 of them down there, and they're amazing. This is an investment, and they're amazing to have. This is a 5-2000, it's called. I totally recommend it. If you don't want to buy that brand and you want another high-speed blender, go right ahead. As long as it's got a tamper and it has that really high speed. So they're the main 2 equipment that I use, my stove, my chopping board, and my knife is it throughout this amazing challenge. But this will stay with you forever.